city. She smart, thick and pretty. Hood and sedity. Her mama fucking with me. We the baddest in the city. I'm grimy and I'm gritty, but when I'm with you, I'm shining like a penny. I feel brand new. I hope you do too. Took her to Benihana. She turned head like she Madonna. She can't sing, it's her persona. Man, everybody wanna. Your girl gave my girl a number. Wanna have a party like slumber. If she need wood, I'm a lumber. If she got a leak, I'm a plumber. We hotter than the summer. We got money if you talking numbers. She wearing a dress, and I'm looking under like I sitting right. That shit is dumb dumb. Sit it on my face until you come. Girl, you got that sauce. That yum yum. You said that pussy good, and now I want some. Don't tease me. Don't tease me. Don't tease me. Please me. Every time I go inside, angels are all I see. I can't get out of your vibe. Loving you is all I need. I can eat this pussy for days.
Good morning.
I can eat this pussy for weeks. I love it when you.
Peace. Thank you for joining me today. It's the Hoodmystic. Good morning. Real quick video. Just wanted to talk about a couple of things, kind of tie up the week. Put out a lot of information throughout this week that I'm still trying to process. I'm gonna use these next 2 days to kind of process it and look forward. A lot of information kind of that's been passed through me that I'm still trying to process, putting together different types of contents and different things like that. But I still want to talk about today, still speak to Venus, still speak to the energy. And the reason why I say, you know, this is kind of like a wrap up, because the energies that we've talking have only progressed maybe a degree since yesterday to today. And we're dealing with Venus now at a different degree than it was yesterday. And we're dealing with Mars at a different degree than it was yesterday. So the difference is very subtle, but at this point, the difference is very much of an overview as well. So let's just get right into it. Venus in Sagittarius, or Ophiuchus, in sidereal astrology, Sagittarius in Western astrology, deal with particular ideas that are here to free you, but we have to understand and conceptualize how they'll actually free us. Very clear, very difficult to process though, because the idea here is the final frontier. The final frontier represents the known world, right? The frontier was represented as America at one point in time, because in the known quote unquote world, they didn't know about America, quote unquote. So every time they progressed a little bit more west throughout the land, every part of the land that wasn't known to them was called the frontier. Eventually, they knew everything about the country, so they begin to take the frontier to the scientific realm. Then they begin to learn about germs and chromosomes and things of that nature, the microscopic world. And that was a new frontier. And they figured everything to know about the earth and life. And then, you know, frontier after frontier, we get to the final frontier, which in my opinion is consciousness. And not to say that people within the mainstream don't actually know about conscious, but the information disseminated in reference to consciousness is highly curated. So much so that you think that consciousness is a way of life and not a fundamental understanding to your being. So, as we push for different things within our ideology, as we push for different things in our mindset, we have to always go to the frontier, go to the land that hasn't been conquered yet, the untamed wilderness. This is very important for American history. And the idea of constantly progressing into realms of thought, into areas of life, will lead you into consciousness. But consciousness isn't known. So to make this very simple to the average individual, nobody knows anything either. That's very easy to take some slack off you, where you kind of looking at people and you thinking like, oh, well, they got it better than me because they doing better in life. But the idea of frontierism is the idea that we're all progressively reaching our personal edges and walking over them. We all have our personal limits that we need to recognize so we could get over it. This isn't, now, if you already, in an area where people think that you are holier than thou, people think like, oh, you are a wonderful person, you are, you got your shit together and things of that nature, that's cool. But if you believe it, that's where you get into trouble. No matter what anybody has to say to me, I'm still a work in progress based upon the fact that I understand that in a certain level is not about reaching the mountaintop. It's about the climb. And if you're able to constantly climb and better yourself, then that's your goal. If you are in the space where you're trying to make up for the ego that is stuck in modern times and modern life and is not towards the frontier, towards the change or shift in society, then you'll be left behind. Let's just say that. Ophiuchus and Venus together this time represents an ancestral window to the past. For all of us. And double down on that with the recent lunar eclipse that literally turned the moon red. And some might wonder what that could symbolize. Well, the moon turning red is a nod to ancient civilization. Because ancient civilization, they only seen the sun as red. Minus Akhenaten and Nefertiti, if you were to do a Google search of the sun in ancient Egypt, you would see the sun as painted red. Now, these are advanced, technological, smart people. They built pyramids. So they're not ignorant to paint the sun red based upon, because they think it's cool, like an artistic expression to just paint the sun red or something. No, that's exactly how they seen the sun. Based upon planetary chaos and things of that nature. And so They were able to create various monuments and various had particular knowledge. They dealt with particular gods, agriculture, based upon the fact that they were dealing and looking at a different sun. Their reality was different from our reality. Excuse me. Their reality was different from our reality based upon the planetary chaos that dominated the world. There was all types of things going on, but the main thing was that the sun was red. And the Mars at the 16 degrees of Aries also is also a nod to ancient culture and ancient civilization. They were able to see a life that was invisible, but they were able to see it based upon this 3,000-year planetary chaos period where the primordial deities were able to be seen and dealt with. And I only say that to say because we personally had an invitation to deal with the primordial deities based upon our red moon. Now, I'm not even gonna lie to you. Ancient Egyptian deities have been coming to me in my dreams and talking to me. Primordial deities, names that I wouldn't know until I had to look it up on Google. Like, oh, okay. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that I'm imagining that you're going through the same thing too. And we're dealing with this frontier speak, but we got to really understand what's happening. And the problem with this particular energy is that you're so grown and you know everything, and people come to you for readings and people respect you and people, you know, all of this shit. And not even that, your hard, crusty ass negative experience of your past were such a turn off. Like, yeah, but it's really a point where you really have to let the trauma go or process the trauma or get help for the trauma. Seek help. And maybe it's not that bad, man. I didn't want to get to that level, but I'm just saying that we should be more like a child and more like non-judgmental of our current reality, our current situations, and receive the primordial influence. Receive the primordial influence that is available on the planet, that is permeating my heart at this moment, permeating my solar plexus chakra at this moment. It speaks to you. But if you know everything, then you're not really understanding this energy. So Venus trine Mars, where Venus at one level is based upon survival, right? So let's look at this one time. This picture of the pelican with her children and the pelican's children feeding off of her is the Sabian symbol for the 19th degree of Sagittarius. And it speaks to survival and it speaks to frontierism. Now you could look at this picture of the pelican eating its mother and think that that's disgusting, but it's not, but it's actually speaking to something. So a level of maturity is needed at this point. You can't look at things like, oh my God, why is he doing that? Because you don't know what this pelican family done been through, or where this pelican family is trying to go, or it doesn't have anything to eat and it needs to get to a certain place, And for the lack of her species survival, this pelican literally is letting her children live on so they can continue forward, or she can continue to guide them. Because even if they take a little bit of her energy, they're not killing her. So that's one side. The other side is Mars at the 16th degrees of Aries, where your ancestors, so we can look at it as another way too. You can look at it as your ancestors providing that sustenance for you if you need it. But you got to actually put yourself in that childlike space to seek that enlightenment. And it's a lot of people that don't even like me, that won't listen to this message, but based upon the fact that they don't like me. But I see that a lot in the people, you know, like I see that a lot in a lot of like psychics and a lot of readers and things of that nature, where it's like they know everything, they got it all together, and that's just the end of it. And the fact that people call them every day for readings, they pay their bills from readings, everybody think that they deep. I'm not hating, I'm saying it never gives you a space to work on yourself. And I'm a person that does readings. That's why I always, like, sometimes I gotta slow down, or I'll put a block on readings for a particular time to work on myself, because it does not serve anybody. You know, even if the readings are accurate, even, you know, that's besides the point. That's a way for making money, and you should do that regardless. But you shouldn't do it to the point where you don't work on yourself or develop the wisdom or be childlike in understanding and learning more. Because a lot of people who read a few books that are low-key kind of deep, they've been done stop reading and learning and growing. They've been years ago. Because they've been deep years ago. So from that space, they are the most toxic, most dangerous people on the planet at this point, because the doctrines don't represent the frontier. It represents the wilderness, or it represents what I see the wilderness, but people see it as modern life. It speaks to the white man being this, or it speaks to, you know, all different types of structures that no longer exist. So the real shit, or the real cloth talk, comes down to modern science and its reality to putting these people on, but not identifying what they're saying. But my thing is, why would you even speak to a person like Aristotle or Plato? And I'm only using Plato and Aristotle and people like that because these are people that modern science people identify, modern historians identify. But then when we talk about what they actually talked about, like, what did they stand for? What did they mean? And what were they talking about? What was this philosophy thing? It was about consciousness, right? That's what they were talking about. They would sit all day and just sit and talk about consciousness all day. And come up with some pretty, you know, what I would say, good points. So now, the part where you think of becoming like a child or something to that effect, you really work with your soul. And Aristotle said that the soul is broken down into two parts, into 4 sections, where part of our soul is very calculative, very scientific, very matter of fact. Another part of our soul is based upon our desires and the things that we need versus the things that we want. And then the vegetative parts, or the snake-like or the reptilian parts that really keep us alive. With all that being said, whether your soul is rational or irrational, it's a part of your being that you don't really know. You can't really get with all the time. You can't always calculate why you can shoot that jumper, why your jumper is so wet. But it's a very mathematical function of wrist thrust, leg, how much leg you put into it, distance, you know, energy, speed, thrust, where the ball is. The fingers have to be on the black, and you know, have it roll out of your finger. That's very calculative, and you doing all of those calculations, but consciously you're not. How quick you could come up with a joke, and all of these different things, and the scientific ways that you've learned how to manifest money throughout your rituals and manifest love, and all of these things, very calculative, very scientific, but you don't know how it's done. You can't write no book on it. You can't even explain it, but you doing it. You even doing the processing, the creation of the processes. Like, you are a genius. We are all operating at genius level based upon Aristotle. Daymans in them. So why would one not understand this as what we need to deal with when it's all around you? You can't even walk up the steps. You couldn't walk from if it mattered on your conscious mind doing the calculations, your ass couldn't get out of bed and walk to the bathroom. That requires so much computation that, you know how hard it is to build a goddamn robot with sensory functions like you, and then to execute it in a program that grows and evolves. See, nobody's that smart. Nobody could create that on this earth. Only a higher intelligence could create a human body and understand its calculations and scientifics and its modalities. And we worried about Cardi B or Donald Trump or whoever the news is going to flash across the screen today about what they doing. And I'm saying within you is a level of genius that getting up, taking a piss in the morning would, you know, you couldn't even do it. You couldn't even come up with the computations and the calculations. So why not deal with that part that's within you? She do go hard. She go hard to listen to. She go real hard to listen to. God damn it. Nine of Wands upright. Where the Eight of Wands is a burst of energy, things happen fast for you. The Nine of Wands is like, this is my everyday existence. This burst of energy that you get from time to time. No, I live in this space of strength. I exercise and utilize my strength. You may look at a person like that and wonder, how is he doing it? How is she doing it? Because I'm telling you, that person done reached deep down inside themselves and dealt with themselves at such a deep level that you no longer exist. Your opinion, your judgment is no longer valid because that relationship with self is that strong. And it's a difference between a relationship with self that make you feel some type of way versus a relationship with self that creates compassion. It's like getting back at people or making sure that you're looking out for people because you're one of the strongest among us. And some of us have that, some of us don't. So and you know, it's a lot of pressure on the people who've been using their spiritual gifts for personal gain and haven't been helping people. Or they've been acting like they've been helping people, but the bottom line is personal gain. So if you are using your spiritual consciousness for this purpose, or you think that, you know, it's only about me, not that nothing bad is going to happen to you, but the reality is you were supposed to be using your spiritual gifts to develop that inner strength, because there's shit there that you use the spiritual stuff to act like there's not shit there. But there's shit there. And that's why the spiritual consciousness, that's why the spiritual information is available, so you can begin to do the inner work. And from doing the inner work, you can master your will. But you don't master your will when there's shit there. You can get to a space where you're just propagating mainstream thought in your spiritual practice, and you're not even able to push the boundaries or even be honest with your clients, because you've attracted a set of clients that only want you to lie to them. And to me, that's law of attraction, because you only are lying to yourself. So spiritual truth don't come with clout, fame, success. It comes with the reality of dealing with our inner reality and knowing that we can change it, whatever it is, or even deal with a level of healing if there's a level of pain there. Sometimes you don't know what you're going to do about what you're going to do about something, and you may need to develop what's within you first. Ain't nobody gonna like this video, I already know. No. Yeah, like that's some real shit. As I was speaking that, it really dawned on me, like the people that I attract are awesome. And even in the future, if I attract some weird ones, I'll know why. I've been on some weird shit. But if you speak a certain way, carry yourself away, or want to deal with the level of healing, that's what you'll attract. That's one of the things that I've always noticed, that water seeks its own level. I've had a variety of friends throughout life, and those friends always represented where I was. If I needed a predator, then I was in a prey-like mentality within. If I needed somebody that was going to do me wrong, I'd already been doing myself wrong before that girl even walked into my life. So it's very much important for me to always work within, even in my relationships, because my relationships are an indication of where I'm at internally. Peace. Peace. Yeah. If you don't know what direction that you're going in, always go within, you know. Always go within. Even when everybody is looking at you as super deep person. Oh, you've been buying crystals all this time? Give me a reading. Still trying to figure it out. I don't know what you want me to. I can't give you no advice. I'm still trying to process some stuff, and that's okay to say because maybe that's the truth. That's why I do readings, right? But I don't depend on readings for my salvation because there are times when I can't do readings, okay? So I would never want to do it full time because I can only do it when I can do it. When I can't do it, I can't do it. I can't play with spirit. I can't be like, "Oh, I really can't do readings, but I really need to pay rent. What am I going to do?" I'm not gonna sacrifice or leverage my spirit for material gain. And you leverage your time and energy when you can. But if you can't, that's okay. And you shouldn't feel bad about that. You should deal with your pain and your healing and your trauma first. Because you have a responsibility to the people. People are coming to you for information, and it's like you ain't all the way right. Your family life ain't right, your personal life ain't right, your financial life ain't right, and your advice is not right. But people be so hurt that, they'll take what they're gonna take, and like attracts like. Again, is what I'm saying. So that hurt and that pain is pretty much an indication of where you are. Exactly. I if you watch these videos like that's not on the live, if you kind of watch these like post live, I do that, and then I have a kind of talk up. I'll just show you guys right quick. So I'm really dealing with Vajradhara, the primordial Buddha, the Buddha of indestructible blue light, and I'm really dealing with this energy, really understanding this energy, really just taking some time with this energy, and hoping that somebody could pause this video, write down Vajradhara, find their own resource or whatever the case may be, deal with Vajradhara, and then share their experience with me. Because I'm having an experience and I feel as though my experience might, I just want another person's experience with this energy because it's like I don't want to be the only person um dealing with this energy. Like yeah, man, I can't even talk about it because it's super X-rated and it's too early. It's too early. It's too. Mm, it's very much of a ideology that people really accepted, where where people in themselves, well, honestly, I just say like society has taught us that our personal selves is our greatest self, our human self is our greatest self, and we've created a whole life and created a whole symbolism versus our illusionary self. And the psychic or the healer or the metaphysician that is known is dealing with that human side. But there's more to it, and so the frontier represents that extra piece that we kind of maybe have not factored in, or maybe are not exemplifying or being the beacon of, and that is consciousness, and consciousness being an actual thing. that not only I can have. It's not a gift. The shit that I'm talking about is not a gift. It does not make you special. We all out this bitch breathing, ain't we? We all got motor functions, ain't we? Then from that alone is you a genius. You comprehending me on this live, the simple words that I'm saying? Maybe you don't understand all the words that I'm saying, but for the most part, the words that I'm saying you get, then you're a genius. There is no gift when it comes to consciousness. Consciousness is something that we all simply can develop, learn, and engage. It's just a muscle. And any muscle that's not being used can deal with being atrophied. Versus any muscle that we work out and any muscle that we flex can become strong and nice and diesel. And your consciousness can be diesel out here, but you need to work it out. And you wouldn't necessarily go to the gym and have another person work out for you, would you? Don't make no sense. So let's really do the work ourselves. Peace.